This video presents 10 English listening selections about flowers that you can listen to passively. Now, let's get started. Frost flowers. Have you ever seen beautiful ice that looks like a flower? It sometimes grows from the stems of dead plants on a cold winter morning. This is called a frost flower. You can often see it on a plant called Quisqueya japonica. This happens in early winter. At that time, the ground is not frozen, so the plant's roots are still working, but the air outside is very cold. The roots take in water from the ground. The water goes up the dead stem and comes out from small cracks. Then, the water freezes in the cold air and makes a beautiful ice flower. The interesting thing about frost flowers is that they are like art. They are made by special weather and the plant's shape, even though the plant is already dead. The shape of the ice is different every time. It can change with the wind and the temperature. When the sun comes up in the morning, the beautiful ice flower quickly disappears. Cyborg flowers. In Sweden, scientists did an interesting project. They put electronic circuits inside living roses. They used a new technology to make wires inside the plant. They did this by using the plant's own way of carrying water. The scientists put a special liquid into the rose. This liquid can carry electricity. The liquid spreads through the plant's water tubes. This turns the rose into a kind of living electronic machine. Because of this, scientists could make a living sensor. This special flower can feel if it is healthy or sick. It can also feel changes in the environment around it. It can report this information using electricity. In the future, maybe plants will be able to make their own electricity. They might also be able to warn us about dirty air or water. Scent of Sakura mochi. Sakura mochi is a famous Japanese sweet. It is a pink rice cake with red bean paste inside, and it is wrapped in a cherry leaf. One of the most special things about Sakura mochi is the leaf's sweet smell. However, many people wrongly think this smell comes from a fresh leaf. Actually, the leaves from the Oshima cherry tree have almost no smell when they are picked. To be used for the sweet, they must first be kept in salt for a few months. This special smell comes from being kept in salt. When the leaves are in salt, the walls of the cells inside them break. This causes a chemical change. This process makes a sweet-smelling chemical called coumarin. So the smell is not natural to the leaf, it is created later. It is interesting that the nice smell, which reminds people of cherry blossoms, is actually made by the simple process of keeping the leaves in salt. Confining water lilies. Some kinds of water lilies have a special way to get pollen from insects. They do this by trapping insects, like beetles, inside their flowers for one night. On the first day a flower opens, its female part is ready to receive pollen. The flower makes a sweet liquid, which attracts a beetle. While the beetle is drinking the liquid, the flower's petals slowly close. This traps the beetle inside the flower. The next day, the flower opens again. Now, its female part cannot receive pollen anymore. Instead, its male parts are ready and give off a lot of pollen. When the beetle gets out, its body is covered with all this pollen. The beetle then flies to a different water lily that is on its first day. In this way, it carries the pollen to the new flower, which helps it make seeds. Napoleon and Violet. After Napoleon Bonaparte, the Emperor of France, lost a war, he was sent to the island of Elba. The violet flower then became a special sign for his friends and supporters. Napoleon promised them he would come back in the spring when the violets bloom. So his followers started using the flower as a secret code. They would ask, "Do you like violets?" If the person said yes, it meant they were a friend. They also shared pictures of violets that had secret drawings of Napoleon's face hidden in the flowers. The violet was also a very important flower for Napoleon personally because of his wife, Josephine. It was her favorite flower, and he gave her violets every year on their wedding anniversary. After Josephine died, Napoleon planted violets on her grave. People say that until his last battle at Waterloo, he carried a small locket with violets from her grave inside. For him, the flower was a sign of both his plan to be a leader again and his love for his wife. Mass death of bamboo. Have you heard about something strange that bamboo does? After many years, all the bamboo plants in a large area will suddenly grow flowers at the same time. After they make flowers, all of the bamboo plants die. This is called mass flowering, and it is a special way for bamboo to survive. For a long time, the bamboo forest grows bigger and bigger. Then, all together, the plants use all their power to make seeds for new baby plants. This is the last thing they do before they die. The most important reason for this is to protect the seeds from animals. If bamboo made only a few seeds each year, animals like rats would eat all of them. But by making a huge number of seeds at once after a long time, there is too much food for the animals to eat. So many seeds are left over. These leftover seeds can then grow into a new big forest. The old bamboo plants die, but this helps the new bamboo plants to be born. Sakura Front. In Japan, cherry blossoms are very important, and people love to see them. There is something called the Sakura Zenzen, or the cherry blossom front. It is a map that shows when the flowers will open in different places. Weather experts can guess the blooming dates. They look at the temperatures from the fall and winter. This tells them when the trees will wake up from their winter sleep. Then, they check the spring temperatures to know when the flowers will finally open. This map is not just for planning flower viewing parties. Today, the Sakura Front is also important for science. Old records from cities like Kyoto show something interesting. For over 1,000 years, people wrote down when the flowers bloomed. These records show that the cherry blossoms are opening earlier now than in the past. Scientists say this is because the world is getting warmer. The early flowers are a clear sign of this global change. Prophesied Flower. Charles Darwin was a famous scientist. He had an idea about how animals and plants can change to help each other. One day, he was looking at a strange flower from a place called Madagascar. The flower had a very long part that was like a tube. This tube was almost 30 centimeters long, and it had sweet nectar at the very bottom. Darwin thought that to drink this nectar, there had to be an insect with a tongue that was just as long. At that time, nobody had ever seen an insect like that. Some people thought Darwin was wrong. Darwin died, and many years went by. Then, in 1903, other scientists found a special moth in Madagascar. This moth had a very, very long tongue, just like Darwin said. His idea was correct. This story became a famous example of how a plant and an insect can change over a long time to live together. Two-colored rose of peace. In England's history, the House of Lancaster used a red rose as their sign, and the House of York used a white rose. These two families fought for over 30 years about who should be king. This was called the Wars of the Roses. The fight ended in 1485 when Henry Tudor won and married Elizabeth from the York family to make peace. To show this new peace, King Henry VII made a special sign called the Tudor rose, which put the red rose and the white rose together. The Tudor rose was not a real flower, but it was a very important symbol for the new king. He put the Tudor rose on buildings, money, and papers. This showed everyone that the two families were now one and the fighting was over. It was a good way to show a peaceful time and make his position as king strong. His family, the Tudors, ruled for over 100 years. Sunflowers and radiation. Sunflowers are special because they can take in bad things from the ground. This is a way to clean the earth. Using their roots, sunflowers take up harmful things like cesium and strontium with water and food. These bad things are then kept in the sunflower's stems and leaves. Because they can do this, many sunflowers were planted in places like Chernobyl and Fukushima after nuclear accidents. This was done to help clean the ground. However, using sunflowers to clean the ground is not a perfect answer. One problem is that one flower cannot take in a lot of the bad material. To clean a whole area, you would need many sunflowers and a lot of time. Also, the sunflowers that take in the bad things become dangerous trash themselves. This means people must collect them and throw them away safely, which is another problem. It is a good idea for the environment, but we need to solve these problems to use it more.